APC, why are you running? That is in less than how many hours Tinubu don't papa master strategies. You don't run sign bill into law because una guarantee una believe say na law wey get loophole. That una go use come back. You are deceiving yourself. The gods reject you, the people reject you. If it didn't dey, it didn't dey. The thing where you sign, now it go comot you from that place. Because ori buruku le now.
Going by the stand of APC leadership, APC criminals, it is obvious that what they are relying on is rigging 2027 election. Yes, that is what makes the basis of their refusal to make it a mandatory for INEC to electronically transmit results from polling unit to IREF. They want to rig the 2027 election, and this we must resist. This message is to the opposition, the likes of Peter Obi, Rotimi Amechi, Atiku Abubakar, and a host of other leaders in the opposition. If you don't unite, if you are not ready for war ahead of 2027, forget about the election. APC have just clearly told the world that we want to rely on rigging. Rigging is the only way we know how to get power. And if you are not ready to unite, project that candidate that is generally loved by the vast majority of Nigerians, so that Nigerians can stand behind and beside the ADC or whichever political party that is ready to do the needful ahead of 2027, then forget it. If you are not ready to make this a war against APC, we have the numbers. Yes, Nigerians are ready to fight against APC. It is any party but not APC. Political parties really do not matter. It is the candidates. Make Peter Obi your flag bearer. Let's take power from APC criminals. But this is not going to be done by laughter, by joke. Mr. Peter Obi, I think at this point in time, you shouldn't be going around trying to make people love you. No, Nigerians already love you. This is a fact. Don't try to convince us. We are already convinced that you are the man we want. The only thing I want you and other top opposition politicians to be doing now is to be liaising with the American government and any other government that can help stop Tinubu's rigging machine ahead of 2027. Yes, meanwhile also be using your resources to do the needful. APC have to be matched battle for battle, war for war. We will not allow them steal our election only to be crying foul later. No, that time it will be too late. We must match violence for violence, and you guys have the resources. Put it in use. You can already see that APC is ready to steal any election. That is the only thing they know how to do. Their master strategist is not called master strategist for nothing. He is a master in stealing other people's mandate. You saw that in 2023, right? And that is exactly what he's trying to replicate come 2027. We must resist him. Please, every opposition should be reaching out to President Donald Trump and any other country that can be of help to interfere in this election to stop APC from rigging it, and also use your resources to mobilize people here in Nigeria to make sure we match violence for violence. If APC brings forth violence, they should have it in return the way they want it. We should serve them exactly what they are ready to offer. We shouldn't allow them go away with our election only to start crying. No, it has to be violent for violence, and this is what APC is ready to do. And if you guys are not ready for this, please do not waste Nigerians.
When will Peter and his team seek audience with the President of the United States, briefing him face to face and calling him for help towards the 2027 general election? When are they going to do that? This is exactly what APC did during the regime of Barack Obama when they wanted to push Jonathan out of power. They sought audience with the US President, the United States authority, and by all of that, they got Jonathan out of power. When will Peter Obi and his team get all of that done? Peter Obi must put his team together. I don't know if Atiku Abubakar can finally enter the US, because I also heard that he had a record that will not allow him enter into that country. But whoever among the ADC is clean enough to visit the US, seek an audience with the President of the United States, let him know the state of things. Nobody should tell me about sovereignty. There's no sovereignty anymore. America is already here fighting insecurity, which is a proof that the country has no internal government. So we have no government. Nigeria have no government on their own. That is why America is here fighting insecurity. So if America is here to fight insecurity, they can as well help us get a better election. So Peter Obi, His Excellency, the people's president, the people's choice. At what point are you going to assemble your team? to pay the United States President Donald Trump a visit. Nigeria is expecting this any moment from now, because you see what the National Assembly are trying to do. In fact, you see what they are bent on doing. They are bent on making sure that Nigeria will never decide who governs them in the next dispensation. Are we going to allow that to happen? If Nigeria are allowed to choose who governs them, it doesn't matter who they choose. They can choose Tinubu 20 times, but let it be known that Nigeria chooses, not some miscreant, some criminal element throwing themselves on us. So Peter is at the forefront of this fight. Obviously, nobody can take that from him. And anybody that hates him for this, you will never live long. You get the point now? Meanwhile, my question, like I have earlier asked, Peter for Nigeria is doing this with him. Peter Obi, when will you take your entourage to the US? I think Nigerians should begin to ask this. Go to Donald Trump. If they can interfere in our security challenges, let them also have a torchlight on our electoral system. This shenanigan by Akpabio, Abbas, and this Kalu from Abia State must not stand against the people. How can the few miscreants in the name of whoever they call themselves decide the fate of vast majority like Nigerians? Millions of Nigerians want a transparent election, and some few criminal elements are saying no. Making laws and creating an escape route is what we are saying no to. The antics of Akpabio, or as Akpabio is being used to perpetrate, must not stand. So on this, on behalf of every well-meaning obedient, on behalf of every lover of Nigeria, I am calling on His Excellency Peter Obi and his team to do the needful. You must take the step. You must follow that same step which APC followed prior to 2015 general election when they ousted the former president Goodluck Jonathan. Visit America. America already knows so much about Nigeria. America only, I think if they need to be briefed, it's just a little, but you just need to meet them officially and tender your complaint, as Peter have already done via the embassy. So please share this video, tag Peter Obi. Those that can repost. If you can do a video, do. Tag Obi, tag ADC, tag everybody. Let them do the needful. Go and meet Donald Trump. Let them know Nigerians also want to have a free, fair, and credible election. The insecurity that Donald Trump has come to help us fighting is being perpetrated by criminals who rig themselves into power. No duly elected political officer would torment the people like the way APC is doing.
So this electoral law, you and I know that on that day there will be no network. You see, those major places where they expect his votes to come from, there will be no network. And guess what they're going to do? We know what they're going to do. They're going to meddle with their results, definitely. So 2027 is secured for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. What we should be worried about now is 2031. But I'm also here to tell you guys, right? Whatsoever plan you have for 2026, take it seriously. If you want to marry, take it seriously. If you want to have a baby, take it seriously. You want to jackpot, take it seriously. Any plan at all you're making for yourself, for your future, make sure you use the remaining 10 months of 2026 to execute them. Make sure you try your best to see that you can achieve them. You see, usually, politicians usually take their first 4 years to impress. They take their first 4 years to work, to build, to win people's heart, so that you can comfortably vote them back for second time. Then they'll use the second time to do Oringo, to do giveaway for their bank accounts and their friends, to do giveaway for their selfish interest. But imagine President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's regime using their very 4 years to put poverty first before Nigerians, to label us poverty, suffering and gnashing of teeth become the order of the day in Nigeria, and they're still telling you that they've done a good job. Think about it for a second. Just think about it. They are telling us that they have done an excellent job, whereas there is serious hunger in the land. There is serious poverty in the land. Go to the trenches. You see people are suffering. There are people that have not even been paid their salary 2 months, 3 months. I'm not saying these are all President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's problem, but this is actually his problem because he's the flag bearer of Nigeria. And they are still telling us that they have done an excellent job, right? Look at our medical system. Look at our energy system. Look at our banking system. Look at our security. Look at our defense system. If they can open their mouth and tell you that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu have done an excellent job in these 4 years, in these 3 years rather, now imagine for a second what is going to happen between 2027 to 2031. Every plan you have for yourself in Nigeria, take it seriously. Come 2037, after he wins the election, we're going to see what's in hardship. You see what we are seeing now is cruise. You see what we are seeing now? Yeah, we are still enjoying free food, free manna from heaven. After 2027, we're going to see the difference between manna and Emmanuel.
Nigeria is in trouble. Nigeria is in crisis.
It is unfortunate that the National Assembly, that is supposed to be the hallmark of a democracy, that should protect the interest of the citizens and our well-being, today under the leadership of Mr. Godswill Obodakpabio has not only become a rubber stamp Senate, the current Senate is basically an extension of the presidency, operating under the whims and caprices of the executive arm of government. So if President Tinubu asks Senate and House leadership to jump up, the question will be how high. It has become almost an APC town hall where people are singing and standing upon a mandate which they shall collapse. But that is not even just the problem. The National Assembly today has become a dangerous institution, weaponized against the Nigerian people, and have proven to be only capable of aiding and sustaining corruption and criminality in government. And this INEC budget is just one of so many. So the INEC chairman, Professor Joash Amukpiton, has presented a budget of 873 billion. The question will be, what exactly are we using all this amount of money to do? Is that not what a reasonable legislative arm of government should be overseeing? Because in Nigeria we spend billions of naira, and the tragedy is that at the end of this process, everybody will then sit down and wait for the tribunal and the courts to pick leaders. That is the judicialization of our democracy. But then again, let us go into the details. The INEC chairman said about 200 billion of this money is set aside for electronic technology. Anti-root electronic technology, when the same National Assembly has passed a clause that says where there is no enough network, we should go back to the same manual method that has been giving us glitches and rigged elections. Nigerians have told the INEC chairman what exactly is the technology to be procured with 200 billion. If we do not have confidence in our own telcos to provide network on election day, INEC should immediately go into a partnership with Starlink so that the 177,000 plus polling units in Nigeria can have Starlink network guaranteed. It will cost less than 100 billion. But somehow nobody is ready to scrutinize because it is all a conduit for criminality. Do you know that in INEC, every election, INEC has been granting contract to certain persons to provide electronic technology? If there is no mischief, and this is not a work between both INEC and the lawmakers, when there was a glitch in 2023, after Mahmoud Yakubu received more than 300 billion and said 150 something billion was for electronic technology, when there was a glitch, Anti-Root and Nigerians, who has called the contractors who handled that project to book? Which of the contractors was charged to court? Which of them has been held accountable? We are still budgeting another 200 billion for the same electronic technology. So as it is today, nobody knows the contractors in INEC, who are the persons printing sensitive materials. And guess what? This is not just the budget for INEC. This is for this year 2026. INEC will have another budget for 2027. If they need a supplementary budget, it will be given. But we do not equate the money we spend vis-a-vis the quality of elections we have. Do you know that from the Senate public hearings in the Ministry of Solid Minerals headed by Mr. Dele Alake, Nigeria is still budgeting 6 billion plus to pay salaries of staff in Ajaokuta Steel Company. Have you been to Ajaokuta Steel recently? A place that has been overrun with rats and reptiles. So that is what exactly is going on in the National Assembly. Who is approving the funds for INEC and other parastatals? Who is insisting to know exactly what is being done with this money? So we just continue to have this over-bloated budget. But for now, the Senate says they are having an extraordinary session on the 17th, which is on Tuesday. Nigerians must insist that the mandatory real-time electronic transmission of result is passed, and not only passed, we want to know exactly what INEC is spending taxpayer money to do, not to spend billions of naira and end up with a glitch. It is unacceptable. If there are free and fair elections in Nigeria today, President Tinubu and his APC gang, their defeat will be announced before 1 p.m. on election day. They know that they have no path to victory in 2027, and that is why they rely on the defected governors who are standing upon a mandate which they shall collapse. You know why? When you do manual coalition, it empowers the gatekeepers in those states, the governors and political office holders, to be able to influence and to pretend over those institutions so they can rewrite figures. You can see the kind of mutilations that happened in Obiakpo and other parts of the country. So that is why you see politicians continue to push for this manual system. Nigerians must know that the more people come out to vote, the more difficult it is to rig. There is a deliberate attempt. That is why you can see everybody. If not, ask yourself the question. President Tinubu has more than 30 governors standing upon a mandate. They have the entire National Assembly. They have the judiciary. They have the police. Only INEC has not declared officially to stand upon the mandate which it shall collapse. Yet they have inaugurated city boys, township boys, everything boys, renewed hunger, renewed rascality, renewed whatever. So why are you still afraid of free and fair elections? Why are you afraid of one single clause, mandatory real-time transmission of results, which INEC has said we can do? It is mischievous. Nigerians must wake up and know that this is your opportunity to choose your leaders. Our lives will not move forward until our votes begin to count. We must insist on it.
Thank you, Dr. Abati, Rufai, and Ayo for having me. But I think that before I answer that question, I need to clear something here. And that is that Nigerians have been wondering that for the past 2 years, I have decided to switch off, painfully, with respect to anything to do with our country. And I put my television on Chinese station, not because I hate Chinese, because I have spent over 30 years of my life, 10 practical years in INEC, together with other Nigerians, on how to remove the history of our election from the poetry of frustration and pain, so that we can give meaning and purpose to the ballot as the best means of the expression of the will of the people in a democracy. If after a decade of effort in this direction, we are still back to where we are, and given the fact that when I left office in 2022, I was not part of the 2023 elections, but I was part of those who educated Nigerians. That is why people have been holding me accountable. That on this channel, Arise Television, when I left office, the Duke of Delta, Ndoka Abagbena, I called him. I called John Momo, Raymond Dokwesi, the TVC, and I said, I have decided that all the requests for consultancy, I turned everything down. That it's unethical. That having worked in a commission, having been part of those who develop the processes, it will be wrong of me to take any appointment from anybody. On this Arise Television, for over 1 year, you never charged me a dime, nor was I paid by INEC on anybody, but for the service of the country. To now find that all that we did are now in vain, that's why I regret. I don't regret that I wasted my 10 years in the service of the fatherland, because I would have been a dead man by now. My colleague in Kano was killed, the family wiped out, because we wanted to do the right thing for our country. But today, the value pyramid of Nigeria is upside down. If you are bad, you can do well in our country. So that's the reason why I switched off. But as I noted somewhere, there comes a time, no matter what, we have no other country other than Nigeria. I would have left when I was in university, but I stayed back because I wanted a country for us, despite being locked up by Abacha, kept everywhere, and all that. And so, having done all of that, to find out what we are going through is the reason why I switched off. Therefore, your question as to the statement I issued, history is a graveyard for contending opinions. What I put out there is an empirical evidence of how they have suffered. Because the resistance against a credible election in Nigeria has been long-standing. Dr. Gobadia was the first to set up the ICT unit in the INEC. It was a unit in his office and later a full department. At that time, they used the OMIR to try to sanitize the process. From there to Iwu's era, where you have to use DDC, machine capture machine. Iwu set up the VSAT across 774 local government for transmission of results of the 2007 election. It was sabotage. All the billions that were spent wasted. Jega era came in. We started and we identified all election rigging processes, and that the EV system must be carried out. The EVs has 4 tracks: the biometric registration, biometric accreditation, e-voting, and e-transmission. But as we're doing that, the members of the National Assembly, under Section 52, they were scared and they prohibited the use of any electronic thing. In fact, they used the word no electronic voting machine. That was the language that was used. But we came in, we saw Section 49, Section 52, Section 68 are the clear election rigging provisions. And for 20 years, we fought to get those provisions removed. Now, having done that, by the time Jega came in, we started with what they call biometric registration, with the first time that was carried out. Then you remember that we were called TVC, temporary voters card. From TVC, we moved to PVC. From PVC, we moved to the smart card reader to deal with Section 49, which is the election rigging provision in our laws. All right, we did to deal with that. But what happened? By 2015, of course, the sabotage from within and from out was a major problem. In 2015, by the time we brought the card reader was not a voting machine. Card reader was meant to deal with Section 49 that says that a presiding officer, once you are a voter who's registered in a polling unit, once you come, if he is satisfied, he should be given what he call a ballot to vote. That was where politicians started buying voters cards, warehousing everything, rigging the election. We needed to sanitize it. That was why we brought the idea of the smart card reader to identify, confirm, and authenticate a true voter at the polling unit. But what happened when the matter went to court? The apex court of our fatherland painfully declared that, the smart card reader, beautiful device, however, it should have been written in the Electoral Act. Today, the debate that has held this country down for the past 2 months or thereabout is brought about by the Supreme Court of our fatherland. And I'll give you what the Supreme Court did, how it has thrown everything in disarray. Supreme Court tribunals declared that the regulation and guideline of INEC that stated clearly on the basis of our historical experience that where the results that have been declared at the polling unit that were expected or mandated to be sent to the IREB, so that when the result is already on the IREB, nobody will change it. Supreme Court said that IREB is an amusement center, it's a viewing center, it's of no effect and all that. Now, the question now is, what happened to the lineup of authorities, 1979, 1983, and all subsequent judgment of the court, Supreme Court, up to 2015, when the court declared that in any elections, there are 3 principal legal frameworks that govern election, which are the Constitution, the Electoral Act, and indeed regulations and guidelines made pursuant to the powers given both in the Constitution under Section 160 as well as Section 148 to make rules for the conduct of election. It should be noted.
Okay.
Welcome back to the channel. So a lot of Nigerians are just tired. These people are very, very tired. They are boiling. Now, I saw you clips of people that came out to protest yesterday, and they started firing tear gas at them. That's the country we are living in. These people are asking you for a free and fair election. They are telling you that they don't want you people to rig the election anymore. Make it transparent. Let everybody see what is happening. Now, Tinubu is going to sign the amended electoral bill. He doesn't even care what is happening. He's just doing what he wants. And that's because he still wants to be in power next year. But if those people really want you, do you think they will come out to protest? They are asking for a free and fair election. Don't rig. That is what they are saying. And I actually like what this Peter for Nigeria said. Now, it's reported that they have gone to petition President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and Godswill Akpabio at the US Embassy. And when they came out yesterday, what was supposed to be a peaceful protest actually turned into chaos. And that's why a lot of people are arguing about the credibility of Nigeria's democracy. Because the electoral bill should strengthen transparency, it's supposed to protect votes, and also prevent irregularities. It's not supposed to become another political bargaining tool. So that's why a lot of people are saying that this APC knows what they are doing. They're just looking for every possible. But why are you even scared? Why is Tinubu scared? Why don't you want transparency? Oh, you say you won the last election here. If you really won the last election, if you're the one that won, why don't you want transparency now? Everybody is demanding for transparency. They don't want it to be rigged again. Let everybody come and cast their votes and do it the right way. So why are you scared? Because this whole thing is not just about one election cycle. It's about the future. And we all believe that if there is no solid electoral reforms, 2027 and beyond could repeat the same controversies that have divided the nation. And that is just the whole truth. Well, what's the take on this? Do let me know what you think in the comment section. And if today is your first time joining my channel, please don't forget to like, share and subscribe.